Hey everyone, it's Jaime Joe right here at Mad Lit Musings. I am chuckling because there is a 5-second countdown and it's the longest 5 seconds of your life while you're waiting to start the video. It's like 5, 4, and you're just like smiling fakely because you know this is going on YouTube. It's like, yay. Anyway, hi, I have Michelle Griep here with me today.
Happy to be here.
Someday I will come up with a really good way to introduce my show. Otherwise, I just fumble for the first minute and then we get into things. So,
Whatever works.
Right. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So.
Who wants to listen to a schmaltzy intro anyway? They just want to just get right to it, boy.
I know. Let's just go in guts and gore. Just
do
this
it.
thing.
Dive right in.
All right. We got it. Well, I'm stoked because I have the copy of the book that we're going to talk about today. And I just finished my own personal book deadline. And your book is like my reward for that.
Kind of like chocolate.
And it is. And I don't know how many times, like in the evening, I would grab for the book to start reading. And no, you've got to finish yours first. So now I get to read Of Golden Shadows.
You know, what's funny is I have on my desk the Spectre in the Glass House, and that's going to be my treat. But first, I have to finish my book club book because we have book club. So I got to get that done. Then you're my treat.
Yeah. That's awesome. I like that we're each other's treats. That's kind of cool.
That's so fun.
Although I suppose it's probably not too far of a stretch when you consider, I think within our Christian industry, we might be on the more gothic-y side of most of the writers.
Yeah, for sure.
There's not a lot like us out there.
No, we are a shade darker.
Yeah, we are. Just a shade darker. But you stay in England for this series, and I stay in the Midwest. So we've got that difference, I guess.
We do.
So tell us a little bit about Of Gold and Shadows, because I'm excited to read it. Just don't give me spoilers.
Okay. No spoilers. Okay. But I think you're really going to like the first line. So there's that.
Okay. I want to know what the first line is. That's unfair.
You're going to have to read it to find out.
Love it.
So it's about this Egyptologist who is a female of all things, which is a bit odd for Victorian England because, you know, women were supposed to be by the hearth and home, manning their children and whatnot. So, but she does not aspire to that. She wants to be an Egyptologist because her father is an Egyptologist himself. He's a professor at Oxford. Yeah. And so, of course, she meets with all kinds of roadblocks. And another little fun fact about her is she is known as the shadow broker because she makes deals in dark alleys with smugglers and rogues who have stolen Egyptian artifacts. And it's her heart to get those artifacts into a museum, preferably one in there where they came from in the country of origin. But she'll settle for any museum just so they can be released to the people instead of being sold to, you know, some aristocrat in the middle of nowhere in his mansion, and nobody gets to enjoy them. So she is the shadow broker. And then enter, of course, dashing hero, the most wealthiest eligible bachelor in all of England, returning home from India. And don't you know, he's got a shipment of Egyptian artifacts that he needs to get priced in a hurry. So he goes to Oxford to hire an expert. Well, lo and behold, her dad's not there, so he ends up hiring her. But, did I mention he's sworn off women forever? So, you know, what could go wrong? So she goes to his mansion, his manor home, to price these things. And one of the first things she unwraps is this golden statue of a griffin, which is kind of a ugly little thing. But it's gold, so it's got that going for it. But it's supposedly has the curse of Amantuk on it. And so, of course, bad things happen, and there's a happy ending. So there you go.
Sounds great. Thanks for telling us all about the story. And
That's it.
This is a great podcast.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, man. Okay, so you threw like all kinds of things in here that I really like.
I thought you would. I thought of you frequently while I was writing this.
I'm so honored. Yes. I really am. Because like I have, you know, when I was little, what I wanted to be when I grew up was an archaeologist.
Really? I did not know that.
specifically in Egypt. Yeah, an Egyptian archaeologist.
Oh,
Now, I gave up the dream really quick when I actually saw a documentary on how archaeologists actually work. It was far less exciting because
yeah.
I was basing it off of kind of like the mummy movies,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yep.
and I guess that's not what it's like to be an archaeologist, but I loved Egyptian history. So I was always like, and I was my mom was concerned. I would get books from the library of mummies because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to just see the gold and the treasures. I wanted to see the mummies, and then I wanted to see the layers underneath and the bodies and the death. And she's like, you're scaring me. But like, you threw that into a book. You threw that into a book, all the
I
Egyptian
did.
stuff. I'm so
I
excited.
did. And while I was writing it, I would get to these points where I'd be like, WWJD, what would Jaime do? Mm-hmm.
So I can expect that there's some creepy moments in
Oh
the
yeah,
book. Oh,
absolutely.
good. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
good. Creepy's good. Creepy's
Tempered
good. I,
tempered
I like
by
creepy better than
humor. I have some humorous moments as well. I've
skin.
got a butler in there who likes to play pranks, so we've got him in there.
A butler playing pranks.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I
Yeah,
like that. And I like the fact that she's got kind of a double life going on.
she does. Yeah,
Like
especially
she's
because
got
her
like this.
father is away on a dig, so she's let loose and
Yeah.
running rampant. And oh, she's lost her third position working in a school because she does things to get her kicked out. So yeah,
Oh, so she's definitely a conformist. Absolutely a
yeah,
conformist. Yeah. Yeah.
she's a sweet little gal.
Now the cover is absolutely stunning, but you were telling me before we hit record that she's actually a quirky dresser. So if you had to describe one of the outfits that she wears, I need to hear that so that I can imagine her in my brain.
Well, when you first meet her as Amy, not as the shadow broker,
Okay.
she is wearing her bodice is misbuttoned, so she's got big gaps going on. Colors non-existent, like they're just like she's got plaid with paisley with polka dots, all different colors.
I love it.
Her shoes don't match, and in fact, one is broken. And she doesn't notice these things, but her good friend does, and points it out and helps her put herself
That's
back together
awesome.
just a little bit.
That's awesome. She sounds like the perfect person to be paired up with, the most eligible bachelor in
Does
England who's
right?
sworn off with women. I mean, why not?
Of course, of course. Actually, that's what draws him to her. She doesn't care about him.
Yeah.
She doesn't fawn over him like everybody else does.
Super fun. Oh gosh, I love it. Okay, so what's his backstory now? He's been in India. Why is he in India? Is it just for, you know, collecting antiquities, or is there more to his story?
There's
And
a
why
lot
is he
more to his
sworn off
story.
women?
He is a businessman. Of course, he's got daddy issues. Daddy
Okay.
died when he was younger, and he always felt like a failure. So he has this drive to be super successful, but that's tempered by a very compassionate heart that his father didn't have. His father was very ruthless, and so he has lived over in India because he ran away 8 years ago because of a woman problem, shall we say?
Aha.
I won't give a spoiler on that, but that's why he's been over there and conducting business. I mean, Britain and England, or England and India were,
Right.
a little intertwined there.
A
So,
little bit. A little bit.
yeah, he's come back now for the first time in 8 years. So
Okay.
that's what's going on with him.
That's what's going on with him. Wow. All right. And so then, okay. So here's a question with Egyptian history and a lot of the movies, a lot of books that have Egyptian history. You hear the name Amentuk actually quite a lot. Why is that? Is he like the most popular era that their antiquities are being found, or
Personally, I just think it's a fun name to say. Amantuk. Like,
that's
it
the
just
best
it
answer I have
rolls
ever received. That's good.
it rolls off the tongue. So
It does.
I'm not an Egyptian historian, but if I were to pick one of the Egyptian gods or goddesses, what have you, I'd totally
Mm-hmm.
pick him because it's a fun name, doggone it.
It is. It is. It is. It's just like I forgot he was a god. I was thinking he was a pharaoh.
No.
Okay, who is Amentuk? Tell me, educate me, because
Oh my
wow,
gosh.
for somebody who loved Egyptian history, I know absolutely nothing.
I didn't dig that far into it. And in fact, I twisted the story a bit of
Ooh,
him. It wasn't all that interesting. But I had him hooked up with Ra, the sun god. And
Okay.
so that's where the curse comes into play.
Oh,
And so actually that ties into, I want to say, where it was originally found, but I don't want to give that part away either.
okay.
So,
All right.
yeah.
All right. That's fair. That's fair. So you didn't do any massive trips to Egypt for research
No,
purposes?
I wanted to. Doggone it, I did. But it
I
just wasn't
know.
in the budget at that point in time. So it would
Darn.
have been super
Darn.
fun.
There's authors that do all these fun reader tours. We should do one to
Oh
Egypt.
my gosh, wouldn't that be a hoot?
That would be
Woo!
amazing.
That would be
Amazing.
amazing. I'm in. That'd be
Let's
really
do that.
fun. Wonder what kind of curses we could,
Oh, I'm
unbox.
sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure. If we did a Michelle Griep and Jaime Jo Wright tour of Egypt, I'm sure we'd have a very select group of readers attending.
I bet. Anybody out there game?
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, great. Now we're going to get all kinds of emails. When's this trip? We want to
Yeah, what
come.
is it? We
Let's
want
book
to
it.
go. That could be really interesting. That would be an interesting
Oh,
trip.
that's funny. That's
Yeah.
funny. So you picked Egyptology. Um, did you have to, could you use your imagination mostly and tell a story, or did you have to actually start learning about Egyptology and do a bunch of research and really dig into that?
I wouldn't say I did like overkill on research, but I did have to do a fair amount because
Mm-hmm.
I was not well versed in Egyptology. But I knew that because I'm more of an Anglophile at heart. But during the last half of the Victorian era, that there was a period known as Egyptomania in England
Oh,
where everybody like peasant to noble was like interested in Egypt, anything Egypt. So much so, in fact, that one of their fun little pastimes was if you had the money, you'd buy your own mummy and then you would have a dinner party and invite your friends over and you'd have a nice meal. And then after the meal, you'd unbox this mummy and unwrap it. So that was kind of a
that's
fun
my
little
kind of deal.
that was kind of a fun little tidbit that I uncovered. I thought you might enjoy that.
They seriously do that?
They did, yes. They
Oh,
would
I'm so jealous.
sell mummies, unwrap them.
That
Yeah.
would never happen nowadays. You'd have to
Oh,
buy a mummy off the black
no.
market to do that.
I don't even know if you could. Well, I suppose you could, but
Oh,
yeah.
I suppose you.
No, that would
Let's
be.
find out, Michelle.
Hey, we
We'll
could
go on the
incorporate
dark
that into
web
our
looking
tour.
for a mummy to unwrap for my Victorian era party.
We have to find a creepy old mansion to do it in.
Oh, yeah, that could have been a great book launch party, right? We could have all joined in by Zoom while you unwrapped a mummy
Totally could have. Yeah, that
in
probably wouldn't have
full
gone over well.
Victorian garb.
Yeah, that wouldn't have gone over well with antiquarians.
No, but it would have gone over well with me. And
Okay.
think of the books that you would have sold.
And that's what counts, right? That's what counts.
Yes, yes. Oh, funny. I love it. I love it. Okay, that's an interesting. Wow. Now I want to go Google all of that, like Victorian parties and mummy
Oh, you
unwrapping.
should. There's a lot on that. There's a lot on that.
Is there other stuff that I don't know about that I need to know about?
Well, another interesting tidbit I came across was the fact that like these Egyptologists, they weren't like they didn't get a degree in Egyptology. It's just kind of you went and did it. Like,
Oh,
you'd study on your own and I'm going to be an Egyptologist. There was no like education. I mean, yeah, you could learn about Egyptian history and whatnot, but
sure.
yeah, to be a formal Egyptologist, there wasn't a particular doctorate that you needed to acquire.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I always kind of pictured it linked with like Oxford, like you'd have to go to Oxford for eons and then
Right.
become this really intelligent person.
Right. And to be fair, they did have, classes on Egyptology, but it wasn't like a degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So, but Edmund, who's the hero, is an Oxford professor, though. So we do have that line of Oxford coming. So does he challenge her, like intelligence and her ability to do things, or is that not something that
So
he's
Edmund
threatened
is
by?
not the professor. Her father is the professor.
Ah, there's the perspective.
Edmund's
Okay.
the hero, and he, out of all people, actually supports her in what she
good.
does, and he sees her for who she is, and so of course that endears her to him because no man has done that before. So yeah, he
Right.
appreciates her intelligence.
Yeah.
He's got his own little educational, how do I say this correctly? Challenge. Let's call it a
Okay.
challenge. Okay, he's dyslexic. So back then it
Okay.
was called word blindness. And so in his case, it was letters, not numbers, because he was a
Okay.
great businessman. He could do numbers all day long, but give him some letters and it takes him a long
Mm.
time to decode them. So that she was that learned and well versed in
Yeah.
and whatnot. He appreciated that in her.
That's cool. That's cool. I didn't realize they called it word blindness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
You know when they first discovered when dyslexia was
No, I
a
don't.
condition?
I don't have the date on that origin of that, but I mean, clearly it was
Yeah, it'd be
recognized.
interesting because I know that they were aware of it back
They
at the
were
time. Obviously, they called it word blindness. They obviously
right,
knew that there was something there that people were working through.
right. Yeah, that would be a good historical note for me to add, but I didn't. I did write a little bit about it, but I didn't put the exact date of an origin.
Yeah. Well, and that's okay. That's okay too. It was just interesting. I was something that popped into my head while you were talking. I'm kind of like, if they were aware of it back in the late 1800s and they had a name for it,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious when that actually got real. Because, how do you diagnose something like that, especially when you don't have a definite, like now we have a definition. There's things we
Right.
specifically look for.
Yeah.
But back then it would have been like, how do you even describe it?
Yeah. You know what? I'll ask Chat GPT. We'll get it all straightened out. Because dad is always right.
Oh, it's always right. I always tell my kids, Abraham Lincoln said a long time ago to always trust what you read on the internet.
That's right. That's so true.
Yes. My
Yes.
son actually fell for that for quite a while. He was quoting Lincoln quite proudly until I told him to stop because you're making a shameful display for your mother.
Uh-huh.
Fun stuff. So you have Golden Shadows. Now, this is the first in how many books do we get to look forward to?
It's just a duology, so there's only two. I
Okay.
suppose if there's a public outcry, they would consider more. So go ahead and bring your pitchforks to Bethany.
Right, there you go.
But yeah, the second book is of Silver and Secrets, and that features a character that is in Golden Shadows, so it's not necessarily a sequel.
Gotcha.
Although I do mention the characters in the first book. And
Mm-hmm.
he is what ties the stories together is he's a professor at Cambridge. So
Okay.
each book features a different college. And then he's a Roman professor of Roman history. So he does a Roman dig. So you get to learn a little bit about the Roman side of things, artifacts and whatnot.
That's really
And
cool.
of course he digs on the heroine's property. So, but they have excuse me, they have a
Yeah.
baggage
Mm-hmm.
because he used to live in that town. And so,
Okay.
yeah.
So we got another great book to look forward to with this. I like that idea though. My son, he likes to go magnet fishing with his Sunday school teacher. We'll pick him up and they'll go. Have you heard of magnet fishing?
No.
Okay, so here's the thing. So you have these magnets, these big magnets, and they're on like the end of a rope, and you actually put them in rivers and streams and water, and you see what you pull up.
Ooh.
And so they pull, and I'm always teasing him when he comes home because that's one of the things they do over in England. Well, they'll do magnet fishing in current time, and they'll pull up like Roman coins and Roman artifacts. And my father-in-law was showing me there's a YouTube channel that shows these guys over there. They're always finding like Roman archaeological things. And so every time my son comes home, I'm like, well, where's the Roman coins? Where
I'm
are
totally
they?
going to bring a magnet with me next time I go to England.
Oh,
And
you have to.
did you work that into a book yet?
I have not. I
You
saved
need
it for
to. You
you.
need to have them pull up something really creepy.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I've thought that. I was trying to think one time I was trying to think, how do you have something metal go through a person so they could pull up their skeleton? And then I was thinking, maybe they had an accident and there's pins and plates, but then that was just getting really gory, so I dropped it. But I do love the Roman history, though, that spreads into England because of the a lot of people, I don't even know if they realize how far up the Roman territory went.
No, all the way up towards Scotland. Hadrian's
Right,
Wall's way up there.
right, right.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose a lot of people know that, but maybe they don't. I don't know. I like to spit out facts like not a lot of people know, and then I think later, like, probably not really a fact. It's probably like two people that didn't know, and they would be my
Well,
children.
now you educated them, so
I
all's
did.
good. Mm-hmm.
Oh, fun. So you are writing of Golden Shadows, and it is for the Christian market. So when you write a story, do you just try to weave in kind of like inspirational themes, or are you not like super worried about like how much spiritual is in your books for readers who may not have read Michelle Griep book?
Okay, so I'm not going to beat anybody over the head with the Bible because that hurts. So I try to weave it in a little more subtly, but
Mhm.
each main character definitely has a spiritual journey because life, right? And people can
Right.
relate to that. So
Hmm.
Amy's spiritual journey in this one is, you know, she's always striving to be recognized as an Egyptologist, and she has to learn that, you know what, she's okay just the way she is. She doesn't have
Mm.
to perform to be an Egyptologist.
Yeah.
And Edmund, he just needs to learn to trust again, to trust
Mm.
women especially because
Yeah.
he was burned in the past. So,
Yeah.
and to wait on God's timing, which is a lesson for us all every day, right?
No, not at all.
Yep.
That just comes naturally. That comes naturally to people.
So yeah, I usually start writing the story first and then
Okay.
it just kind of happens because it just
Happens.
comes out of
Yeah.
me. Usually it's something
Yeah.
I'm struggling with. So it just kind of works its way. You know, I write
Isn't
these
that?
stories and God just speaks to me through them. So it's like,
I
I
know.
thought these were for
I've
my
kind of,
readers.
yeah, I've kind of started to avoid certain topics in my books
Hmm.
because it seems whenever I pick a topic, God's like, well, let's just make sure you know what you're writing about. And I'm like, not funny, God. So I figure if I avoid certain things, maybe he won't ask me to learn them.
Wrong.
Darn.
Hit the buzzer.
Come on. Oh,
Sorry.
come on. That's great. Now, for anybody who knows me, they know that I'm a big fan, and this is not your first rodeo with writing a book. So if people are tuning in and they're just getting to hear you for the first time, you've got quite a backlog. How many books have you written now?
I think there's 21 out there.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
and somebody posted a while back a book cover of yours, and I'm like, how this, what, where'd this come from? Like, I didn't even know it existed.
There's a few. I've been writing for quite a while. My
You
first book
have.
came out in 2008, so that's a little
Okay.
while ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about 15 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. And I've
awesome.
been busy ever since. So,
Yeah, you
yep,
have.
I
You
have
have,
been.
which is
Yeah.
awesome. And you've written books that are in the late 1800s, but then you've also written books that are kind of in the Regency era too, because you're
I
part of a
have.
Regency group
I've
on
even
Facebook.
I've got a medieval time travel. I've got a Viking age time travel. I've got some
Right.
colonials.
Yeah.
But mostly I've settled into Regency and Victorian.
Right. What
Yeah.
was the colonial one that you wrote? What was the name?
There's a couple of them. I did the Captive Heart
That's the one I'm
and
thinking
the
of.
Captured Bride. So,
Probably both of them I'm thinking because I do remember those. I
yeah.
think those were a couple of my first ones of yours that I ended up reading. And then I started going back and then I started reading the
Bow Street Runners.
thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. I always like to me they're like parallel with Pinkerton agents, but they're England, right?
Right.
Both straight Pinkerton, different eras completely, but it's
Right.
just people. So
Doing the same job, basically.
similar,
Yeah.
similar. So
Yeah. I do have something fun I can tell you about that
yes.
is tied into Of Golden Shadows. So I started my own Etsy shop. I haven't officially launched it yet, but I'm going to this month. And so one of the things I'm including on that Etsy shop is a story subscription. So I'm calling it Story Letters. And the first story letter I'm doing is Edmund's Love Letters. And so you can sign up for a 3-month subscription, and every 2 weeks you're going to get a letter from Edmund to his dearest love, which of course will be Amy, but you're going to
Of
think it's
course.
yourself. And he'll write a letter about what's going on, where he's in London and what's going on. And he'll include one of his poems because he writes poetry. And then there'll
Gotcha.
also be some special enclosures in there that he tucks in. So that
Ooh.
that will tie into, and then at the end, if you haven't read the story, you might want to read the story because you'll want more of Edmund and Amy. So
Well, of
yeah,
course.
yeah,
Everybody wants the books to keep going. So this
yeah.
is the
Why
way to
not?
have it. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think it'll be really fun. So I'm just pulling all the final pieces of that together. So that should
Yeah.
be out in the next few weeks. So stay tuned.
Okay. All right. And where do people find that? Like in the next few weeks, they want to find that. They want to find more about your books, get on your
Mhm.
newsletter list. Where do we go?
Yeah, get on my newsletter list. That's the best place to go. So just go to
Mhm.
michellegriep.com, sign up for my newsletter because I will actually send out a newsletter. Surprise, surprise.
Hey.
And my Facebook page is very active. My author page, I've got great readers who love to interact. So that's another good place. And or you can
Mhm.
just go to directly to my Etsy shop. It's just author Michelle Griep. So yeah, those are all
Yep.
places you can find me. And I'm on Instagram. So there you
Right,
go.
right. And you're part of a Facebook group,
Oh,
Inspirational
yes. Lest
Regency
I
Readers.
forget, Inspirational Regency Readers. I
Yes.
do that with Erica Vetch and Julie Clausen.
Hmm.
And that, talk about an active group. Woo! I can't keep
Hmm.
up with those gals. They are just on there all the time. But yeah, every day we have a different post, and
Yep.
well, many, but and each month we take a different month. So one month Julie will be posting, another month Erica, another month I
Hmm.
will. Yeah,
Hmm.
but it's a fun group.
That's super fun. I love it. I enjoy being part of it. It's fun just being a reader and being on there and hanging out with all of you and seeing all that fun stuff. So yeah, everybody, Michelle is not just a writer. She's an engaged author. I guess I'll put it that way. Like you really do engage with your readers and make
I love my readers. They're so
yeah,
fun.
yeah,
They're the
yeah. And you
best.
make that experience so much more fun. Like you're not just reading a book, but it's like there's things to still do when it's over. Like you can
Yeah.
go interact and do all this kind of stuff. So that's great. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I like it. So, well, if everybody wants to get the book, it's called Of Gold and Shadows. You can get it at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Christian Book, Baker Book House, and I think it's in. Is it in audio yet too?
It is.
It's in
Yes.
audio, so we
It's
can
in
get
audio,
audio,
and I
ebook,
think
or
it's
paper.
even in large print already. So it's
Perfect.
all over the place.
All over. So go out and get your copy. Get a copy for your church library. Leave a review online, please. That's the best love letter to give to an author is a review. And yeah, see, you're getting hearts from Michelle there. She's like, yes, please. Yes, we do love reviews. We do love reviews. And I always say too, be honest. Like, even if you don't like the book, leave the review. It's nice. It's nice
Hmm.
to know what you didn't like.
Yeah.
Just be nice about the review. Don't be mean. But
Yeah.
anyway,
We weep easily. We can write brutal scenes, but really, we cry
right. We're
easy.
softies.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the soft, bleeding hearts.
Yep.
We do. Michelle, this was great having you on, and I'm sure we'll probably do a repeat when the next book comes out.
Thank
But in
you
the
for having
meantime,
me.
this was a blast. Thanks.
It's always a blast with you.